This is definitely not the video that I had planned for tonight, but it's raining. We got a hurricane that's moving through. So I do apologize for all the rain noise, but there is something that I've been meaning to talk to you guys about. I figured tonight would be a good night to go ahead and address it. The main reason why I want to talk about this car tonight is because it's very hot and cold on the channel. This car is on for a while, and then it is literally off for a while. And I've spoken about it in the past. Most of you know this is one of, if not my favorite car that I own. But I want to dive a little deeper into the setup and why I think that it is such a good setup. So this car is a 1990 GT. I bought this car about 5 years ago, and I paid, I think, $4,000 or $4,500 for it. It was in pretty rough shape, but for the most part, I haven't done a lot to the car other than straighten the body out, paint it, kind of update the interior, if you will. Let's go in and look at that real quick. We talked about it recently, but it does have the LMR seats, all black interior. Basically everything just got re-dyed and put some different seats in it. Just cleaned it up. Door panels were pretty jacked up whenever we got this car, but I got all that straightened out as well. As far as underneath the car goes, really it's all stock. The only thing that I've changed on this car is the gears. It now has 373s where it did have 273s. Stock transmission. It was freshly rebuilt though whenever I got the car. Under the hood, I know it looks like there's a lot that's changed, but this is the stock short block out of this car. Now whether it's been rebuilt at some point, I'm not sure, but it is a stock block, looks like a stock bottom end setup. And the obvious thing here is it has a supercharger, but outside of that, it literally just has a B-cam and old Hartman intake. Now the Hartman intake, if you guys don't know, bolts straight onto your factory lower. So it's nothing crazy. When I bought this car, it was completely stock. I had absolutely nothing other than exhaust done to it. But it was in rough condition. Now, my whole goal for this car from the start was to keep this very simple. I wanted to keep a car that was drivable. You know, I didn't want to worry, was this car going to make it to work or not, you know, in the morning. And honestly, we've kept it that way. For the longest time, this was a B-cam only car. It had exhaust and a B-cam. That was it. Last year, we put the supercharger on it. This is an S-trim supercharger making about 10, 11 pounds of boost. Very simple setup. A very old school setup. Think about it, guys. This Hartman intake is from the late 90s, you know, early 2000s. You still kind of saw those. This supercharger would have been around in the late 90s. B303 cam, which was very popular then for sure. And that's it. There's literally nothing else. It has an aftermarket clutch in it. I want to go a little more in depth with this particular car though, because like I said, it's hot and cold on the channel, right? You see it sometimes and then it kind of goes away and we don't talk about it. The main reason for that is because we have 3 Fox bodies that we keep on the channel pretty much at all times. And my dad's car, which makes the 4th, which is not really on the channel very much, but there's a lot of stuff going on. And also now we have my 65 Fastback. This car is a very old school kind of feel, right? We even have the solar wing on the back of it, but it's a very old school feel, and that makes it very simple to drive. Meaning I can jump in this car and the cam isn't so rowdy that it's going to cause issues. The exhaust isn't so loud that there again it's going to annoy people. The S trim, it has the heritage gears, so it sounds like the old V1 in a sense, if you will. This car feels like you step back to 1997, in my opinion. And I love that about this car. Now, you guys know, this car being a 1990 would have had the old turbine wheels on it, which I'm not a fan of, honestly. Not gonna lie to you. We had a car with turbine wheels and it's just not really my thing. They're all right. But this car obviously has the 17-inch pony wheels. Now, what this does is give you that whole vibe, that whole 90s feel, okay? Late 80s, early 90s feel. Even though the wheels are a little bigger and they wouldn't have came on this year model car, which nobody really knows the year model when you're driving it around. And these 2 color combinations didn't come together. This is the brightest of the vermilion red with the bright titanium bottom, which was not offered. So by the time these wheels were available on a 2-tone car, it would have been strawberry red and silver titanium at the bottom. I think it checks all the boxes for me. I don't know what it is about it. The sound of it, the look of it, it really just takes me back. You know what? Since the weather is so bad outside, we'll finish this video up in here, and I'll try to brighten it up as best I can. Look at that, guys. What? We got a map light. Oh, this is probably gonna be... So we'll finish this video up with the old map light up here. For me, this car is so fun to drive because it reminds me of, there again, of the 90s. You know, when these cars were running the streets with, you know, S-trim superchargers and B303 cam, F303 cam. We didn't really know what these cars made. There again, I've spoken about it before, but a lot of people didn't take their cars to dynos to get them tuned like they do today. Now, obviously some people did, but these cars were making tremendous power back then with this exact setup. This would have been an exact setup that somebody would have used back then. This car is a time machine for me, and I just enjoy driving it because it's true to its roots. It truly reminds me of what these cars were back in the day, and that's why I love this car so much. This is the essence of what a Fox body is, this car right here. You know, I look at the Carbon Fox and I think, oh man, you know, this is cool, but it's not a car that we would have commonly seen early on, meaning a built AOD, I mean fully built AOD, big supercharger. They existed, but you didn't see them running around a lot, and not to the level that they do today. And the Calypso was more of a mid-2000s build on the Calypso. Turbo, dart block, that type stuff. You know, people were making 1,000 horsepower back in the mid-2000s with these cars. It wasn't a big thing. But back in the 90s, nah, man, you didn't hear it. This is what ran the street. One of my favorite videos, and we'll go ahead and end this. There was this video of a blue and silver turbo Fox body racing against a supercharged Fox body, and they were coming like, seems like from either starting from under a bridge or through a tunnel, like at the end of a tunnel. And that whole like era is where I wanted this build to land. It's one of my favorites. Let me leave you with this. Never underestimate what a build like this can be and what it can do. In other words, these vintage builds now, you know, S-trim supercharger, Alphabet cam, you know, Hartman or Comp Cam upper, you know, intake, or even upper and lower, 373 gears. It's still fun. You can jump in one of these and beat the shit out of it and not worry too much about breaking it. You know, somewhere around that 400 to 450 mark, I think it's good. So that's why the Retro Fox is so special to me, because it ties in the current day, some of the current day technology with the old school. I've enjoyed this car, and it's just dependable. It's just beautiful. So, but anyway, with all that being said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. The weather's getting really bad out here, so I'm gonna dip out of the shop. I'll catch you guys once the weather clears up, and we'll get these things out and we'll drive them a little bit more. And as always, thanks for watching.